psychedelics. I have had extraordinary experiences on DMT and ketamine. I went.
Those are two of my favorites. I'm so happy that you're willing to talk
Yeah,
about
I'm
them.
not running for president or any political office ever.
It,
Um,
Even if you did, it might not hurt you.
yeah, well, hey.
I've had dinner with Bobby, and he's not afraid to talk about that stuff because he's a former addict and is super
But
clean.
I did it under care. I did
Yeah.
ketamine with a physician. I did the DMT with a therapist, and
Yeah.
it was some of the most joyful, love exploding, transformative.
I've seen a shift in
insightful,
you since you did that, Peter. You're happier just at a very base level. There used to be like a little line of just like a little bit of stress that was in there, and you're still positive, but there was a little line of stress, and you just seem softer in a good way. And I think that's what they do.
I think one of the things for me, it's very interesting because I am, as are you, in the longevity business. I want to see as much of life. I think this is the most amazing time ever. I want to see where Starship takes me into the cosmos. I want to meet my great grandkids. I want to upload myself, all of those things. And the experience I had from a dimethyltryptophan and DMT journey was complete loss of fear of death. A connection with the universe that made me feel extraordinary. And it's not for everybody. It is literally a shedding and letting go of the ego, and it's a very powerful experience. And I don't think I would have been ready for it younger in life, but I was definitely ready to shed a lot of the bullshit, to call it, that had accumulated over decades.
I believe that the ego is an emergent phenomena from our mitochondria. They're a distributed intelligence running a distributed network of compute nodes and environmental sensing nodes. And I can prove all of that.
Okay.
We know how they make decisions. They do it the same way advanced crypto does via quorum sensing. And the ego is just the mitochondria trying to keep the petri dish alive as if you're not in there. And you are the petri dish, your body is. So what that means is that if you can lose the fear of death, you're reprogramming your operating system, these very fast parts of your body, to be less reactive to it. And when you're less reactive to fear, your body naturally allocates energy into things that matter more, like folding proteins right, or mitophagy or autophagy or happiness. But if you're stuck with old pattern matching recognition, keep in mind, this is a very fast system designed to keep life alive with no brain in there. So it's reactive. So if your mother-in-law criticism is pushing an old network designed to keep you alive, until you undo that, you will be sitting in your ego because it thinks you're threatened. So losing fear of death is just critically important. You don't want to die, but it just means that when you do, I look at death and birth, same thing.
Yeah.
We all do it. Like, you can't avoid it. The end of the universe is going to happen. I just asked Brian Johnson that on stage at my conference. He goes, we haven't proven the end of the universe will happen. But I'm like, okay, fine. I don't mind.
Death
that
the
at some
universe
point
will come. Yes.
Yeah.
So have you experienced and made use of microdosing of any of these?
I have. And in 1999, I went down to Peru and I sought out a shaman to do ayahuasca. And they said, you're white. I said, yeah, I know. And they said, you won't like it. It wasn't a tourist industry. It was unknown. And I actually think ayahuasca is one of the more dangerous of the ones out there. If you're not doing it in the jungle.
Low on my list.
Yeah, it should be low on most people's list. You want to do it with a shaman who's very, very well trained. So I think there are some spiritual risks there that are hard to go into, but I've just seen too many people with a negative reaction. And there's a lineage and a respectfulness that maybe is missing in some places. But the active ingredient, DMT, you don't microdose that stuff. Maybe if you're doing Joe Dispenza breath work, you're getting a little bit of it. But DMT can be incredibly potent, and a similar experience is just shorter. Microdosing ketamine would be a bad idea. So when microdosing came out, James Fadiman is well known for creating a protocol on microdosing for LSD or mushrooms. And it's about 5% of an active dose. So I decided to microdose LSD every day for 30 days. And I put it, a tab in a drop of water. So you get a drop of water is a fifth of a dose, all that kind of stuff, or a couple drops. And when I was traveling, I didn't want to bring liquid because of TSA. So I chopped up a tab into 20 things. And I was giving a speech in LA in front of a room full of entrepreneurs. And I was just making all these jokes and no one was laughing. I was like, oh my God, that piece of the paper was a little bit more than a microdose. And I'm telling that story because most people who think they're microdosing, at least here in Austin, oh, it's a microdose chocolate bar. I'm like, dude, that's a 25% dose party dose. That is not a microdose. So microdosing causes neuroplasticity and a little bit of creativity and performance enhancement, but it's below the perceptual threshold. And it's just a very different dose. So I think most people microdose wrong, but I've done mushrooms and I've microdosed LSD. The other one that I would really, really not microdose would be ibogaine. And I spoke with Tim Ferriss on my podcast about that, I think right before he launched his podcast. Mm-hmm. And ibogaine resets neurotransmitters, and doing that every day is probably not a good idea. So ibogaine is another very risky drug. You need to be under a doctor's care because you can have a heart attack from it. I haven't tried it. It's on my list of things I probably will do. But I think there's great value to it. But honestly, try, even if you're doing ketamine once every week or two with a lozenge, you're going to get more neuroplasticity from that than you do from microdosing.